What's up, marketers? I want to talk about the ad creative that I'm seeing performing today in 2024. Now, what's interesting is I'm seeing a lot less performance these days coming from UGC. And instead, I'm finding a lot more traction out of creative that leans into education, into trust building, and even social proof. So line up these formats for your next creative tests. It's what I did for all my clients, and watch the revenue roll in. And a huge thanks to Canva for sponsoring this video. I'm actually going to show you how to make several of these formats for free using the platform. They actually have an extended 45-day free trial for Canva Pro, which is what I use for several of my ads and also my thumbnails. The first ad creative that I want to talk about is the educational grid image. This is probably the ad creative that I'm most excited about this year because this is a real content-first, education-based approach. You're not really going for the direct sale here. And in many ways, it kind of looks like an organic post. And I also think depending on the actual headline that you use, it could be considered more top of funnel, which would enable you to actually reach a new pocket of users. So when you're thinking about awareness levels, while an us versus them is really good for someone who probably has familiarity with your brand and your competitors and they're trying to decide between the two of you, this type of ad creative is really good for the more problem aware person who maybe isn't as familiar with your brand just yet. Now, the great thing about this ad is that it's super easy to make in Canva. It probably took me about 5 minutes to make up this mock. They also have a few templates that you can check out as well. Now, the cool thing too about Canva is they've been really doubling down on their AI technology. And one of my favorite things to use here is the Magic Media tool. All you have to do is type in a description of what you want to see, and Canva will automatically create that for you. Let me show you a little bit what I mean. Now, I started off with this image, but a few things that initially irked me was that the lines weren't the same size and the logos are line drawings. So I decided to generate something new with the Magic Media feature right here that I'll show you. So we can scroll down here and we can see that I got something that was a little bit more stylized. So let me show you how I did it. And I want to create one for a small tub of eye cream or moisturizer. So a line drawing. And what's cool is you can have it generate again, or if you see something that's kind of similar to what you want, you can say, hey, generate more like this. So that one's pretty close. Let's see what else it comes up with. So if I like this one, I can take that right in here, size it up correctly. And then another perk of Canva Pro is that background remover. I use that quite a bit. And layer it up, and there you have it. Another place where I've been using this tool, and this is such a huge unlock for me, is actually when I'm creating shot lists. So if I want to quickly get a coffee cup in a quiet luxury setting, I can go ahead and type that in. But maybe I want a glass cup. I can just go ahead and type that in too. Or maybe a matcha latte in a glass cup in a classic California kitchen. Or maybe I'm going to switch up the angle and actually do a flat lay of that instead. To learn more about Canva and test this out for yourself, be sure to click the link in the description bar below. Number 2, the listicle image. And this is going to look very familiar. Now, we've already seen this type of ad in UGC form. 3 Reasons Why is actually one of the most popular and successful types of UGC formats. Now, like I said earlier, UGC isn't nearly as effective as it used to be. And I think that's because a lot of customers are wising up to paid creators. I think users are pretty quick to realize when they're being advertised to. So if the messaging in the hook doesn't immediately connect to them, they're gonna scroll right away. So this is something that I've been testing out successfully with a few other brands lately in image form. And I know what a lot of you are gonna think. This probably looks like way too much text. The good thing is that the 25% of text rule hasn't been enforced by Facebook for a long time. You can actually use as much text as you want. And this is actually one of the broader trends that I see popping up again and again on Meta ads. Some of them are a lot more heavily text-based. And I think it's because, again, we leaned too heavily into UGC as a trend, and now people are starting to associate more images and text style ads as something that actually has a benefit for them because they're learning something about themselves, or there's some sort of inherent value from that text as long as the headline is attracting the right users. I think overall, these more text-heavy ads are something to test into and also look out for a lot this year. Canva also has a few templates for this one, and my suggestion is to really keep this as simple as possible and focus a lot more on your messaging. Creative number 3, carousel ads. Now, I have talked about this a little bit before, but I'm gonna go way more in depth here on the exact type of carousels you need to be creating. Now, I have seen an uptick in carousel performance really over the last 9 months. And there are 2 big reasons for this. Number 1, so few brands use them at all, and the ones who do use them aren't exactly using them correctly. And another trick here is you need to allow Facebook also to optimize the order that your formats are showing up in. So you don't want to create a carousel that's going to be sequential or needs to be sequential. You want it to be able to dynamically organize itself so that it can show the right first slide to the right person. And when I'm creating this type of format for brands, I'm making sure that we include an us versus them, a features point out style ad, testimonials, statistics. Even thinking back to that educational grid creative, I would also include that in there. And I've also seen some brands include small snippets of UGC. This array ad specifically is really great and has been running for ages. And I also see Happy Mammoth really doubling down on this strategy. So if you want to see a few really great carousels in action, be sure to check out those 2 brands. Now, if you're a business owner and you want to really quickly test this, the hack that I have for you here is you can really quickly search for all of these templates inside of Canva. The formats that I would look for are us versus them, ingredient callouts, statistics, and testimonials. Number 4, let's talk about press ads, because I think this type of ad creative is about getting ready to be retired for good, which I'm really sad about because it performed for a ton of brands. But the truth is that more and more publications are wising up to this press style screenshot ad, and they're either asking for the rights for it, aka they're asking for you to actually pay them for it, or they're just saying, hey, take it down, you're not allowed to do that. If you're a veteran in this industry, then you've definitely tested and have opinions about press screenshot ads. They're a super effective format. However, I've seen a pretty big uptick recently in publications sending cease and assist to brands so they're not allowed to run them anymore. This is definitely a legal gray area, which is why I have been encouraging brands to find alternative ways to get that social proof and that trust in different formats. And there are a few that I've seen working recently. I saw Mott & Bow do this magazine cover style ad, which I thought was really clever. And it also seems to have been running for a while and working well for them. And as always, this is something that I've tested a lot and seen success with several brands. You can also just make yourself look like the publication, like this Obvi ad here. There are several different ways that you can try and mix and match to make a press ad, and I definitely think it is super well worth it for brands. And the reason why, again, it's, in many ways the highest form of social proof for brands, especially for certain demographics like 50 plus. They have a lot of trust in the news and in publications. I often think that it just adds that check mark of legitimacy, and I even think ads like this that sort of have that world star hip hop style format, while it's not quite as good because it doesn't have the press name, it kind of tingles that same sense on the upfront, getting people to stop. Surprisingly, Canva does have a template for the Mott & Bow style ad, which I thought was pretty cool. Next up, creative number 5s. These are the golden nugget testimonials. Now, before you click out of these videos, these are not your typical testimonial ads. Golden nugget style testimonials and reviews are something I dive really deep into in my course. But suffice it to say that these testimonials and reviews are the ones that are super special and they really stand out. They're essentially hook worthy. So let me show you a few examples of what is and what isn't a golden nugget review. There are 3 main criteria too for what I think could constitute a golden nugget review. Number 1, it's gonna be really memorable. It's either gonna be incredibly specific or it's going to be humorous. Oftentimes, golden nugget reviews have specific data and numbers around them. I also find that a lot of times I'm able to identify a golden nugget review if someone is mentioning their age in it. And of course, the third one, oftentimes golden nugget reviews are taboo. So let's look a few at these golden nugget reviews. 12 years of bloating and gas went in 9 days. Wow. I went from a size 16 to a size 10 by using the My Diabetes app for 5 months. Look at all that number of data. It's incredibly specific. I'm losing weight and having the best sex at 49. There's that age call out again and again. Incredibly specific. Also a little taboo. I even think this one, like leaning away from the taboo one, is really impactful. I've had 4 diaper bags and this one is the best. Like, who has 4 diaper bags? And you're also gonna trust this person a little bit more because, like, okay, if she's tested out 4 of them and this one's the best, then, that makes me trust it a little bit more. I think this one's just kind of funny. My family can't stop fighting over these. Lines are drawn. on alliances were formed. These bars tore my family apart. Now let's look at a few of these that are not Golden Nugget reviews. And I feel like you're gonna be able to see the contrast pretty quickly. And it's not that these are bad reviews, right? They're just not super special. They're not really hook worthy. This one by Bite, it's been running 134 days. I love getting the eco-friendly packets in the mail and refilling our little glass jar at the sink. Highly recommend. I feel like anytime you see something that says I highly recommend or highly recommended, it's probably not a Golden Nugget review. Sure, they highly recommend it, but that doesn't really stand out against some of these other more impactful ones. This is a really great contrast by Canopy. I've tried every humidifier out there and nothing compares to this. Now in this review, if they would have been more specific about how many humidifiers they tried, which humidifiers they tried, that would have constituted to me much more in the Golden Nugget review style. Instead, this one is just kind of, it's a good review, but it's not very memorable. This one, I love the rich, sweet taste of all the flavors. I can't believe that they're all sugar-free. That's like one of a million, you know? If you have a, you know, for this product, Johnny Coffee, like it's probably something that a lot of their customers have said in some kind of flavor. A Golden Nugget review is also going to be something that really only one person could say because it's so highly specific. I think another good way for you to think about this is, you know, when you are going over your customer reviews and your testimonials, there's always going to be a few that just kind of stick with you. Those are probably the Golden Nugget reviews, even though they might not be the 5 out of 5 stars, you know, yada, yada, yada. Hands down the best dry shampoo ever. How many people have said that about Living Proof? Like a million. So it's not a Golden Nugget review. Now, this is another ad creative that is really, really easy to make with all the templates in Canva. And to be honest, the true lift of this ad really just comes from finding the right testimonial to begin with. One more feature inside of Canva that I really want to show you is actually their magic switch, which makes it super, super easy from you to go from a 1x1 to a 916, literally with just the touch of a button. I can't tell you how many times I personally or my team have had to spend a lot of time making sure that we have the different ads and the different aspect ratios. It's really just a pain. With this, it all just happens in a click of a button, and it's way easier to make micro adjustments if you need to. And honestly, most of the time, you don't really need to. So just another reason to give that a try. And that's it. Be sure to let me know in the comments below which ad creative you're going to test first, and I will see you next week.